Hey everybody, here got another one today. I'm here. Check out. I was almost in Squid Game by Jaden. So apparently apparently Squid Game just follows this woman, cause wasn't she in Mr. Beast's Squid Game? And also, if that's the case, what is she talking about? I was almost in Squid Game, like the show. 'Cause if that's the case, that'd be interesting. I mean, isn't she like part Korean? Possibly. I know she's something from over there. And wasn't the show like all Koreans, I think, that were the cast members?
When I say I was almost
about?
in Squid Game, I specifically mean Netflix's reality show version, not like the actual one where people died. Sorry for a bit of a bait there, but also I'm not lying. So before I get into that whole story, I need to explain how I was even put in that situation to begin with. Early last year, Jacob, our friend Joe, my brother Jax, and I all went to this little Squid Game pop-up event hosted by Netflix. It looked interesting, to say the least. A combination of curiosity and boredom are what convinced us to buy tickets. Our Uber took us to the location provided, and we were dropped off at a scary back alley in the streets of LA.
This some Batman type stuff.
Are you sure this isn't a setup for, you know, the real thing? We hunted down the entrance, headed up Squid Game themed stairs, and inside was a big lobby with merch, snacks, decorations. You know what else was in there?
But nah, never trust a dark alley that you didn't know you were headed to. Because if you know anything about the Batman thing, you never trust alleyways. Even if they seem like the right decision, which for some reason rich people think was the right decision. Not getting into that, but never go to alleyways because it's never safe.
No other human beings. We were the only ones there, along with the shape guys that were just staring at us. Are you sure this isn't? I don't know anymore. Staff signed us in and gave us numbered wristbands. What? It's like Squid Game. Eventually, more contestants showed up, and soon enough, we were herded into the starting room, decorated very much like I'm sorry. Actually like if these guys this thing. And if they did, corporate ruined it. The staff guy gave us the rundown on how the event was gonna work, all the rules, such and such. But sprinkled throughout the explanation were like a lot of safety hazard jokes. I know the concept of the whole thing is rooted in playing dangerous games and dying and ooh, evil dystopian. But he was saying things like, don't lean on the walls. You might rip through it, and I don't want to fill out any paperwork if you hurt yourself. Don't touch anything that you shouldn't touch. I don't want to have to fill out paperwork again. He was very anti-paperwork, like way more than the actual human safety part. Based on what we've seen so far, our group knew we were about to experience exactly what we were hoping for, but with not the death part. For the first game, we were led into a room with lines of glass squares. What? It's like Squid Game again! The glass jumping part! When it was your turn, the pattern on the 10 squares would be shown, and you needed to memorize which tile.
Let me go back to that pattern real quick.
The pattern on the 10 squares would be...
There's 2 red ones in a row. That's a scam off rip. That is a scam off rip. 2 red ones in a row is terrible. Because even if the person decides to jump over it into the next one, they're gonna fall as well. That's a scam, bro. That's not right.
And you needed to memorize which tiles to step on. It's like, well,
is that how they actually were in the show?
Kind of like Squid Game.
No, because the show had 2 different sides.
The first batch of people stepped up, the patterns all flashed, but before anyone could begin stepping on glass, they were instructed to hold it and only take 1 step at a time. For the whole game, we had to watch everyone take 1 individual step, stop, wait to be confirmed, then take 1 more step. For 10 spaces, in like 6 groups total. Also, I think that whatever mechanism they used to track if people were out or not was super busted, because literally only like 5 people in total got their pattern right. Joe, Jacob, and Jax all swore they memorized their pattern correctly, but were eliminated anyway. I know I botched mine up though. I've got paper shredder brain. They could give me 1 tile to memorize and I would still forget it. 25 of the 30 people failed their very very first puzzle. Now, Netflix knew that if people paid 40 bucks, yeah, 40, to be in this shitty little Squid Game event and then had to go home after the first game, they would be pretty upset. So the rule was for the first 4 challenges, no one would be eliminated. Yay, woohoo, phew, that was a close one. In the next room, they tried to combine both the honeycomb game and the marbles game from the show, but what was put together was throw marbles in the shape on the table to win other people's marbles. It was very anticlimactic. Unfortunately, we were only able to gather in groups of 3, so Joe wasn't able to join us.
Dang,
instead, he was paired up as a third wheel to a random couple that was obviously here on a date. Jax cleaned up shop on us. He got all our marbles within minutes. But over at Joe's table, malicious injustice was afoot. Apparently, the 2 people that were in a romantic relationship ganged up on Joe, and after taking all his marbles, just split them up between each other. Despite there being no actual stakes in the game, Joe was furious simply out of principle and swore to get revenge on them somewhere, somehow. Before he could even start any beef, we were brought into the next room, and again, we're split into groups, this time of 4. They really liked group activities in this thing. Walking through the doors to the challenge, everyone was stationed around a respective gift coffin. After opening them up, it was revealed we were going to be playing a big version of Operation, the game where you try to pick up fake little organs with fake medical tools without touching the sides.
When was the last time I played Operation? I feel like I have not played this game sincerely in so long.
That was kinda in
I don't even know if I ever have, to be for real. No, I definitely have, but
I mean, we're really pushing it at this point. Jacob and I randomly got paired up with this married couple, and the 4 of us started inspecting the tools, when suddenly the woman goes, "Oh, will you pass me the forceps?" She's a surgeon. Oh my god, we just happened to be paired up with a lady whose literal job was Operation. The challenge began and the 3 of us took our hands off the tools, she cracked her knuckles, and we watched as all the plastic organs were suddenly out of the prop body. Not surprisingly, our team was the first to finish. When we got back together with Joe and Jax, we explained how we got super lucky to be paired up with an actual surgeon that literally soloed the whole thing, and Joe was like, "Wait, that guy was a surgeon?" And Jacob and I had to shake our heads and say, "No, Joe, she was a surgeon." Damn it. Now that we were entering the 4th challenge, it was time to get serious. This was the first game where people would start getting eliminated for realsies, but not realsies. Everyone was split into 2 groups and taken to one side of a wall where there was a bunch of prop boats. It was a kind of not really IRL version of Battleship where we had to try and shoot down all the other side's boats, and the team that won would progress into the 5th game. I would describe this idea as good enough. Sure, you know, we didn't get to choose where to put our boats since they were bolted to the floor, but I guess we did only pay 40 bucks to be here. For some reason though, the staff member on our side was, we can call it, extremely helpful. At first he was saying general tips, like, so if they still have a 4-tile boat, let's check all the areas that could fit that. You know, saying vague hints to help us out a bit. But by the end of it, he was just straight up telling us, if I were you guys, I would shoot right here. Like, this guy wanted us to win, and win fast.
Hey,
so either he had some kind of bet going on with the other staff members, or dude just had places to be. All the other team's boats were sunk, and the remaining 15 or so people were led into the semi-final game. It was obvious as soon as we saw her, we were finally playing the classic red light, green light. It was decorated like the show, the doll was there, but there were giant gift boxes scattered around the room to act as obstacles, because when you think about it, red light, green light isn't high stakes when staff can't actually shoot the contestants. Like, something had to be added to spice it up a bit. We gathered on the starting line, and the game started. As we were playing, I was thinking, how are they measuring if we're moving or not? You know, I doubt they recreated the entire motion tracking doll thing just for this pop-up that's getting torn down after a month.
I wouldn't risk it.
I figured the only thing they could be using to track motion is our wristband, so in between the green lights, I focused extra hard on making sure my wrist stayed as still as possible. In fact, I was focusing so hard on my wrist that I didn't even realize I was the first one to pass the finish line.
Wow.
Unfortunately, similarly to the janky
what is
glass
this girl Jane's
memory
attention
game,
span?
it seemed like a lot of the wristbands were super wonky as well, because a lot of people got pinged as eliminated, no matter how still they were, including Jacob and Jax, which was a huge buzzkill. Either that, or they were just built to be super sensitive, and somehow my weak little carpal tunnel wrists decided to not shake for the first time in 5 years. I turned back
Jane's
to
arms
see
like
just
in real life.
3
What the heck?
people left. One of them being Joe.
No,
they all
this
lunged
diabolical
forward, and
man.
as red
He's
light
gonna
was
push
called
him.
for the final time, I watched as Joe tripped and crashed into them, causing every person left to topple to the floor.
It was on
Their
purpose, wasn't it?
wristbands deemed them eliminated. As Joe was walking past me to the dead
was on
area, I
purpose.
asked what happened, to which he said,
It was on purpose.
I got him. Joe
No,
had
this
intentionally sacrificed
diabolical
himself to
man.
bump those people because they were the couple that ganged up on him during marbles. He had finally gotten
This man is
his
diabolical.
revenge. Was it petty? Yes. Did
Yes.
he probably ruin
This
their
man
date?
did it for the love of the
Yes.
game.
But do I also not care and
This
think that was
Fortnite
the
Eve
funniest
holding
shit
on them.
ever?
This man
Absolutely.
is
Joe is
this
awesome.
was the
I was
most
somehow the
diabolical
only
man I've
one
seen
in
in my
our
life.
group moving on to the final round. Me and the other 4 winners of red light, green light were brought into Squid Game. And everyone
Fight to
else
the
was there
death.
too, watching from behind a little rope. Jaden, Squid Game is so rough and tough. How did you fare against the 4 other dudes that made it to the end? In real Squid Game, the guy got stabbed. Did you get stabbed? You're probably wondering. And oh, dear viewer,
Is that an
no,
actual quit?
I
No.
did not get stabbed. In fact, I didn't get hurt at all because Netflix didn't want to deal with paperwork. Instead, we played hold a fake egg on a spoon and attack each other until there's 1 egg standing, but attack in a way where there's no paperwork, which is fine with me because I doubt any of us actually knew how to play Squid Game anyway. The buzzer rang
They
and
could've just
everyone
explained
started
it, but
shifting
whatever.
around in the shape. Since I, for some reason,
Isn't
have
Squid Game like
experience
soccer
in
or baseball
high-stakes game
adjacent or
tournaments,
something?
I deployed my signature strategy of don't bring attention to myself. I simply
Wow.
dodged and weaved between the guys swiping at each other's eggs. I can take someone on in a 1v1, but any number higher and I've gone well past my capabilities. Eventually, there were just 3 people left. The crowd started yelling, "Get the girl's still in!" And the 2 guys
Get
started
the girl.
walking towards me. But then my personal peanut gallery chimed in with, hey, they're ganging up on the girl! Boo, shame, boo. And that flustered them enough to back away again. Apparently, the power of teamwork and fear of misogyny can persevere through anything. Suddenly,
Right.
an egg hit the floor. It was just me and non-woman hating guy number 2. The
And
exact
non-woman hating guy
1v1
number
I was
2.
trying to create. We circled each other, both our spoon-holding arms stretched out as far as they could go. He swung at my egg a couple times and I managed to dodge, but I couldn't win this thing if I didn't go on the offense. Wait, what if I just... I won the silly little Netflix Squid Game pop-up. The front man
Bro,
came out and
freaking Jaden.
escorted me to the VIP area where he gave me a plastic animal mask, like in Squid Game. And we took awesome photos together, and I got an awesome t-shirt that said winner. And I didn't know it at the time, but as this was happening, the staff pretended to shoot all the losers with fake gun sounds. Unfortunately, I didn't get the 45.6 billion money prize like in the show. But along with the t-shirt, they did give me a special form to fill out that would give me priority application for Netflix's actual Squid Game reality show, Squid Game: The Challenge, Season 2. I looked at the form and thought, you know, we'll just see what happens. Filled it out and was able to bring my friends back to the VIP room with me because winning isn't fun unless you do it with your friends. That's what Squid
Not
Game
this
taught
man,
me. There were a
what
bunch
you
of
call it.
snacks and
I don't know his
alcoholic
name.
beverages in the winter area. And I gotta say, the alcoholic squid drinks were probably the worst things I've ever tasted. It was astonishing how bad they were. Over a year later, and I can
What is
still
that
imagine
face?
it. I don't even know what ingredient could do that to a drink. Anyway, after I submitted my form,
Playing
I
the
half
Nintendo
expected
Switch.
to never hear anything
Those are
about
actually
it
my
ever
Joy-Con
again.
colors,
But to my
actually.
surprise, Netflix reached out to interview me about potentially being a contestant on the show. In fact, I was forwarded to the next round of interviews 3 times to completely break any potential rules of confidentiality. I was starting to think there might be a chance I could actually be on the show. But eventually, the interviews came to a stop, and I have come to the conclusion they have moved on to better qualifying people. Most likely because I will admit I was a bit too honest during the interviews. They basically all just looked like this. What kind of a role do you think you would play in Squid Game as a contestant? I'd probably just be a follower. I don't like taking charge at all. How hard would you fight to win Squid Game?
Fingerprints.
Not that hard. Have you watched the first season of Squid Game, The Challenge? No. Well, I watched the first 20 minutes, but I turned it off because I thought it was really badly paced and boring. So that was that, and I'm okay with it. Or who knows, maybe they saw my very strange track record of winning game tournaments and got scared.
Yeah. It kind of seems like those kinds of really intense and active game shows, like...
You've won 2 fake Squid Games in a row, woman. Like, of course they wouldn't. Like, that's a waste of money. Because this girl Jane apparently just has plot armor like that for some strange reason. Like, she won Mr. Beast's Squid Game, and she won this one that didn't even have all the Squid Game rules in it at all. Like, what? No, wait, was she in the... No, she wasn't in the Squid Game one. She was in... No, yeah, no, she wasn't in the Squid Game video. She was in a different one, but it was still a Mr. Beast video regardless. But yeah, either way, she has a track record of winning these contests. But hey, anyway, that was it for this one. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one. And God bless. God bless.